Hello everybody, Boxing Mike here. Today we're going to go over one way that you can wrap your hands, which is good for a number of different reasons. Probably one of the best ones is that if you wrap your hands every time that you use your boxing gloves, they certainly will not smell as bad and they will last a lot longer. The other reason, as you'll see as we go through this, is to protect your wrist and your hands. And then cinch them down really nice. The wrap that we're using is sometimes known as Mexican style. It's got a little bit of give to it, which I prefer. There are others that don't do that, but that's what we'll use today. This type does say this side down. If it doesn't say that and you get it wrong, and we'll see that in a minute, then you can just start over and do it again and eventually figure it out. So with this one where there's a loop, here's what you do. The first thing is you got to get a loop through the thumb, like so. And what you're going to do is you're going to get ready to work yourself around your wrist. So I've got it on the thumb. You go up and over, not down. So that way it pulls this ring onto the thumb. So the first step is you're going to wrap 3 times around the wrist. You're going to have to kind of get used to how much tension and what you're comfortable with, but a kind of a good, nice, tight wrap 3 times is generally what works. Once you've done 3 times around the wrist, you're going to keep going around, and now you're going to go 3 times between the thumb and your pointing finger here, and you're going to go 3 times around that. Tension about the same as what you did on the wrist. So now you've got 3 nice wraps here. Okay, pay close attention now to the next part here. You then continue around back over towards the wrist. And now we're going to start wrapping between each set of fingers. So we move around, we go towards the pinky, and we go between the pinky and the next finger. You just fit it through. Come around between the thumb and the pointing finger, and you make almost an X across the back of your hand. You come around again to the same spot you were before, and now you go through the next 2 sets of fingers, and you go back to the exact same spot between the thumb and the pointing finger. Make another X. Looks pretty cool. Back under the wrist, and then the next 2 fingers right between those, and again it goes between the thumb and the pointing finger. You make another X right here, and by the way, I'm keeping my fingers straight. Back under the wrist, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go between the next group of fingers is the thumb and the pointing finger. We're going to go between those and come back again and over the wrist. Here's the tricky part. Now we're going to go between again, but we're flipping under like so. Now here's where you get to, now we're going in the other direction. Now here's where you get to decide whether you want a little bit more on the wrist or on the knuckles. So what we're going to do on this time is we're going to go 3 around the knuckles here. 1, 2, and 3. And as we start the next one, we're going to move over to the wrist, and we're going to finish at the wrist. Now you could go 1 less, for example, than the knuckle if you want to create more support for your wrist, but in this case we're going to do the remainder just on the wrist here, and it's probably about 3. Now you know everything worked out fine is as you come around on the wrist, if the Velcro is facing in the right direction and you're actually able to close it. And there you go. Nice, and if you squeeze it, it pulls everything nicely together and you've got a good tight wrap. And it looks pretty cool.